Hello everybody, Radioactive here, and today we are going to be talking about vent art and videos. Okay, let's start this out with, I do not think that vent art or videos, I don't think they're bad in any way usually. I mean, there are some cases where it can be, but I'll get to that in a second. Here's why I think it can be a good thing. Vent art is used sort of like as a stress reliever. It's pretty good for coping too. Just to get out all that like anguish and sadness that you feel, or whatever you're feeling. It's just good to get that out in a way that doesn't involve you harming yourself, and doing it through art is an amazing way to do that, because it improves your talent, and also it's a way to express yourself without harming yourself, which is always a good thing. Any way that you can find to express yourself without hurting yourself is a good way to cope. I should know in therapy, a lot of the things that they tell you to do is fake it till you make it, and use coping strategies instead of harming yourself. And so if you use art to do that, that's completely fine. And if you see people who post this kind of stuff, a lot of them aren't looking for attention, or, looking for all these people to have their eyes on them, like, oh, I'm the center of attention because I'm going through this, so you should pity me. No, they're not feeling that. Most likely, they either post it because, A, you spend a fucking, like, an hour on this fucking drawing, you're gonna want to post it because you just spent a lot of time on it. Now it's just gonna be like, well, this goes in the bin. Unless it should, but sometimes vent art isn't, and vent art's your best work, and that's okay. You want to post it. And so they're not looking for attention, they just want to post it. It's fine. You should, at the most, just tell them that you wish them well and stuff. You ain't gotta be all up on their grill, especially if in the description with the vent art, it's all mostly tame, just some small vent art, not too bad. You shouldn't be all up on them. However, some people are looking for attention, and that's when it can become quite a problem. Because when people are continually doing this, it sort of diminishes it as a coping strategy, because then you start to associate all of your art with negative thoughts. And if you've ever been to therapy, one of the things that they'll tell you is not to think negative things. I know that sounds like, if you're a Tumblrina, it's a neurotypical way of thinking, but there is an extremely good reason for that. Because the more you think negative things, the more you're wearing yourself out. Even if you have to fake positive thoughts, the more you fake it, the more you're going to get your mind on a good pathway. And soon you won't be faking it. And so if you start to make only vent art, and you start to associate your art with that, it's going to be extremely unhealthy for you. Because then every time you do art, you're just going to associate it with that. Because that's what the human brain does. It starts to associate things with things, and you're going to get less motivation to do art, because you're going to see it as this negative thing, which is really sad, especially if you have that talent. It also can be unhealthy and draining for the viewers, since they're constantly looking at this stuff. Especially if they're like, those people who are able to sympathize easily, they're going to be sympathizing with the pictures so much that it's going to become overbearing. And I mean, like, posting vent art, drawing vent art, it's not a bad thing, not at all. But when you're constantly doing it for this, like, attention, it's unhealthy and it's draining and it's not mentally good for you. It's not a good way to get attention unless you seriously need it. Because sometimes when people post vent art, it can be a sign of an emergency. Like, where they are mentally. Like, suicidal thoughts. If they're close to that. If they're close to doing it, Sometimes their vent art is a good way to, like, see where they are in their mental pathway. If they're getting better, getting worse. It can be that sort of thing. And so sometimes you do need to watch out. Because sometimes their vent art could be a sign that, they might not be here tomorrow. And that's when you gotta be ready to help them. Tell them to get help. And if you're someone who is going through these things and you make vent art yourself, you got to know when you should get help. You got to know when you gotta go tell a guidance counselor, tell your parents, tell somebody who will help you get a therapist and work out these things. Even if you think, oh, it's not that bad, I'm probably just doing it for attention. No, go get help. Seriously, the more you put it off, the worse it's going to eat at you and the worse it's going to get. So, just make sure that, like, people who are doing vent art for attention, don't give them that attention. Because you have the problem of putting yourself at that sort of risk of, mentally draining yourself. But make sure you know between the difference between some casual vent art and when someone is seriously in need of help. Because like I said, it tells you where they are in their mental pathway. And if you do see a therapist, I highly recommend that you show them your vent art. That you communicate this with them. So that way you have a better chance of moving along. They have a better chance of helping you move along. All that sort of stuff. Also remember, you're entitled to your own opinion. So if you dislike these things, that's completely fine, but I encourage you not to say negative things to people like this. Most of the people that do this, they're young, they're vulnerable. It's gonna really tear them down if you just come at them with the, oh, you're just doing this for attention, blah, 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 that kind of shit, which is horrible and harmful to them. Even more than whatever they're already thinking. You're just contributing to that. You're just being this horrible person, and I hope that you know that. So if you don't like others' vent art, then just ignore it. Seriously. If you don't like it, don't look at it. If you're worried about them, that's a completely different story. That's when you can hit them up, be like, you okay? But don't pester them too much, Just, be looking out for those people when you can. Remember also to keep your own mental health in your mind. And that's pretty much all I had to say for vent art and vent videos. Just, think about your own mental health. Make sure that they're doing good. If you make this kind of stuff, make sure you notice when you're at a point where you need help. And know that it's not a bad thing to make it. And that's pretty much all. Bye.
I wanna tell